These are the salad days. These are the days that you look back on one day and you miss them. You know, I've changed the way I do things. Back in the day, a couple years ago, what I would do is I would make boards and sell them, and that was my main deal. Coffee from a teacup. And selling boards was my main deal, having a brand and a company that I owned, and I was the sole, guy. It was a good claim to fame. Very, very satisfying image to go out in the world and meet people and be the owner and the guy behind the thing. I didn't have to share that image with anyone. That's fine. Image is not worth the trouble. I had a great time, and to a certain extent, I was very successful on some levels, but it was not satisfying me. That's just a deep truth of it. There were significant issues that are definitely interesting to discuss, but one of the things that really was missing was I always wanted to be part of a group of people who worked together to accomplish meaningful things. I didn't want to be a solo guy, and I never expected when I began what was Fickle Boards back then, never expected to be like a isolated, I didn't expect to be some hero of the story here where I'm this one guy in this one workshop. I thought I would have a crew of writers, and I thought that I would have a couple other people. I saw 3 people working together. That's a good studio of creators, so that I would be mostly. And in the last 3 years of my work with Fickle, I had my friend David came. He worked with Fortune 500 companies. And he was behind that great website. He was behind, pushing the Googles and things like that. But it just still wasn't. I wanted to have skaters working together. And David was not a natural skater. He wasn't he didn't grow up in the culture of being a skater, which is a thing. It's a thing I do value. It's just one reason it's been so confusing and disorienting for me to be called not a real skater by people in skateboarding who have a lot of clout. That's been a really weird vibe for me, because I'm not an exceptional talent in skateboarding. I'm a very low talent in skateboarding, but to me that's a whole other thing. Who's a skater and who's not? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these are the salad days, man. These are the days when what was really making me happy. This one is this. See this? This is my new experimental camera holder. So I have a nice camera holder for my my little knockoff GoPro Yi camera that sends all my footage straight to the Chinese Communist Party. But my tripod for my iPhone, here, it's got cobwebs and tape on it. This is from yesterday. It was putting. I still have some corners to dust out from my hiatus, but stuck to my hand. But this is what you get when your iPhone bracket holder snaps off. And I just pirated that off of something else, and I'll find another. But I didn't want to do a tape up today, but I wanted to work at the bench and do some current events with you guys. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try these. So we're going to go over to the boombox, and what we'll do is we'll open the door. This boombox is really outdated. By the way, I've been getting some questions about the boombox, and it works with one of these, which doesn't work anymore. This no longer works. Its little spinning hard drive is dead. And so this thing goes in here. That's the way this boombox is supposed to work. But like I said, the iPod is dead. My friend Andy has one that is So I'm going to try to clip you guys here. Now, I did make my wire loop up top here. I have this wire loop, very technical. I can stick you guys up there for now. But if I want to work on the benches, I'm going to try clipping you to different things. And I did take the broken iPhone holder and I did hang it here with some wire and a hook. So, you know, maybe I can put you guys in it. Let's see what happens if I hang you guys in it and put the hook on. You know what? That's not terrible. You can kind of see what I'm doing down here. We can enjoy coffee from a teacup together, huh? So, I'm going to take you down. We're going to have a chat face to face because I wanted to address a topic. I'm not going to treat this topic thoroughly, but I wanted to address a topic I feel is pretty important. The topic I'm going to begin, a lot of times you'll see a video from me, like I have 35 minutes on this channel, YouTube, when this gets posted to YouTube. I have 35 minutes of discussing what you call it, warping. I did a video on warping this week. I did 35 whole minutes on warping a little while ago, and as I've said, there are topics in board making and there are topics in skateboarding that we're not going to cover them. I think a lot of our deal is we want to watch a video and then know the answer. You know, we want someone to tell us what to think, and I won't do it. That's not how the best thinking happens. The best thinking happens when you think together and you come in and, you know, the goal is not that final certitude of this is the answer. The goal is less dogmatic. It's to explore a topic, to come back at it again, wave after wave, exception and thought after exception. And when you're dealing with something like warping in skateboards, or who is a skateboarder, these are more complex than just this is why this happens or this is what that is. So whether it's current events or it's skateboard making or a trick, you guys know I'm going to do some trick tips or something out there. Here's how to do a Windsor shuffle, you know, badly. Here, I'll do it. I'll do it because it helps me to share. It helps me to be connected out there. And I like this job. I like this job better than, well, what I was saying though about these days. First thing, what I like now is now that I've joined with Life Skateboards, Sam Cook, my friend, my brother, what I like about this is now not only am I not alone in my work, which is awesome, my gifts and his gifts can dovetail together. So my conceptual approach, my hilariously lo-fi approach is now joined together with Sam's conscientious, careful, precise approach on making repeatable stuff. And so in the case of like, you know, there's not a lot of people watching my stuff right now, which is that's a good thing for now, because I don't know what I'm doing. Like, for example, I don't always remember to clean my lens. But like in the case of this one here that we did this week, this is this week's, you know, fun. In the case of this board here, so in my workshop, what you can do is come in and you kind of got to be here, you know, and make a board that is unique and interesting and hopefully inspiring and hopefully something that stokes you. And I have a belief that you skate like you're stoked. It's not everyone is this way, but I tend to serve the person who rips when they're stoked more than they rip based on how many 1/1000ths of an inch. I've had lots of times when folks have been like, I need my board to be 8.126. That's an eighth of an inch, by the way. 0.126 is not roughly, it's quite precisely an eighth of an inch. And I was like, well, what if it was 8 1/10? You know, will 20, will 20 100ths and 6 thousandths, will that throw you off? You know, and for some folks, the answer for where they are in their journey is yes. And I've made boards to those specs, and it is not a problem for me to use a caliper that goes to the 1,000th of an inch, measure to the 1,000th, and then to cut that line and sand that line away properly. That's not a problem for me. That's not exactly the precision I'm talking about when I talk about joining forces with Life Skateboards and becoming a satellite workshop, a sister workshop of Life Skateboards. But what I mean is that I can make something fun and free like this, and then for all of its wobbly glory, which it's not really terribly wobbly, it's quite well measured and quite well done and quite good. It's not, you know what? No skateboard is perfect, but this one falls well within anything on the wall of your shop, anything out there. If somebody wants to quibble or something about that, that's fine. I won't be quibbling. But if someone comes in and says, I want that, the next one is going to, this is not a template. This is not like well, what this was from is actually from this is from an old half template I made way back in the day. I had a dear friend, a good guy, come in and he said, I want something like Aaron Murray had. This is nothing like what Aaron Murray had back in the day for Dogtown, but it's reminiscent somewhat of it. These spikes, these scallops are real deep, these scallops are really big, and they go way far back on the board. And so when I made it this time, I even added a little weirdo spot up in the front here, you know, an extra little lumpy bump up in the front because it felt fun. And, you know, well, I'm going to take it over to Life on Friday, and we're going to make a router-based template, a flat template that makes boards like this. And we'll have something like this up on the Life website, shaped and conceived in this workshop, made in that one. Same process virtually. The only difference in the process is I put my holes in last and Sam puts the holes in first. And I've made it clear it's a very small difference. It's that hand-rolled glue. Bryce is in there rolling glue. Oh my goodness, it's so rad. So there's that. I like to see it. I like to put it where I can see it. It makes me feel good to see something that we're working up right there. So this morning, I wanted to broach a topic. I know we're late in the video. Imperfectly perfect. Shad Venatti comments, every skateboard is imperfectly perfect, much like people. I'm not symmetrical, and I work pretty well. I'm working on it, all right? You're looking at my gut, aren't you? I'm not working on my gut. I'm getting close to 50 years old, and I do not care. I already got the girl, and I don't care if I'm just doing frontside ollie and 50/50s and not even slappies. The slappies are really cool now. You can't ollie and grind a curb without getting heckled. Bring it. Love it. I'll do it. I don't care if I never rip again. I suspect that it's inevitable that I will rip on and off. It's possible that into my 50s I'll get a Bowflex machine and I'll be in the best shape of my life. I'm not a future guy. I don't live in the future. I live right now. And the coffee is hot. The teacup is small. And the time is short for us. So I wanted to take up a theme. I'm gonna talk about this week. This will be a recurring theme. And the theme is going to be green technology. I was having a good conversation with someone yesterday about how exciting it is that so-and-so, thus and such, this or that, corporate-related board maker, board company brand, persona, blah, 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 that they are devoting their next line of product entirely to green technology. Now, I don't know, I really am not an expert about the green industry. I have a friend in solar. That doesn't mean I know anything about solar. But I will say this. I have come to be not suspicious of green technology, although I might get suspicious the more I do learn. But I've talked to people who build LEED certified houses and things like that. And just like with anything that is certified a certain thing, a lot of what's green is a gimmick. And I have read different things and heard different opinions, and I have wondered the production of, for example, hemp resins for like biodegradable glue. You know, we know maple is biodegradable and bamboo is biodegradable. You know, we want our boards to rot proper in a landfill. We also want them to last really long so we don't have to make twice as many. I mean, where's the balance? And carbon footprints, and how do you count them? And you know, when we've got stands of maple that have been being farmed for 200 years and are completely self-recycling, you know, in a harvest pattern for industry, when we have this sort of an industry, you know, because hard maple it's farmed, you know, it's not like bamboo, and this is just what I've heard. I'm not sure I'm correct. And I am interested in doing the research, but I'm busy doing life as well. You know, is it truly greener to get Chinese Communist Party CCP maple that's been harvested by a non-transparent government that is well known for contributing a large portion, in fact, a massive portion of the world's carbon emissions are from China? They don't care about accords and things like that. The real numbers are unknowable from a production country like China. But one thing we could infer is that the numbers are far worse than what they're telling you. They're always going to err on the side of saving face. So I don't want bamboo from China. I don't know how that's harvested. I mean, I don't know if this is about panda habitat. But I do know this, before I get excited about a green technology or a biodegradable resin or something like that, before I decide that that really means something, I'm going to need to know what byproducts are produced in the manufacturing, what the manufacturing details are of that resin. You know, before I decide to stop using a packaged PVA, you know, the rudimentary PVAs that make such great skateboards now, and they are polyvinyl acrylate. They aren't, and does plastic biodegrade? And when plastic biodegrades, what does it biodegrade into? And what's this deal about there are bacteria that break plastic down? Do they break it down into soil, or do they break it down into tiny plastic that winds up shredding earthworm intestines? I don't know. There's so many more questions to be asked beyond the claim that something is biodegradable, green, renewable, low carbon footprint. How much simple diesel fuel consumption is involved in the transport of a resource? If I get wood from Ohio, does that make the maple wood I get from Ohio greener than the green bamboo I might get from China? How do you even create a metric by which to measure these things? Oh, and Darren Tyler, you know, I would say let's not even bring up labor practices. Let's not even bring up the massive social justice issues. This is painful. I'm going to leave labor practices aside for a moment. Again, what I'll say is I do not have the knowledge, the information. I don't trust enough of the sources involved to come to a conclusion and make a claim about bio impact, biodegradability versus carbon footprint versus renewability. I do not have what it takes to make a final judgment about that. However, I am suspicious of grandiose claims, and I have come to have what I'll call a meta opinion. I have an opinion about a position that I might arrive at. And I hypothesize right now that regionally sourced classic production hard maple is probably the greenest thing out there. Probably the I hypothesize that the underwhelming truth of the situation is that on so many levels, the classic old way of making skateboards is probably the greenest thing out there. And what's disappointing about that is that if that were to survive the null hypothesis, right? If that were to survive scrutiny and testing, and it's not really a scientific claim, it's an evidentiary claim, so null hypothesis doesn't come into play. But if that survived scrutiny, what would be disappointing is that the utopian ideal of a zero impact product is not possible. And so many times when we indulge ourselves, and I think we should have this error. I like erring on the side of this ideal. We indulge ourselves in a utopian ideal for which we're willing to sacrifice. But real life is lived in the places of compromise between high ideals and high demand. Good to see you, Eric. John Heary, welcome to the feed. We're talking about the claims and how to approach claims of renewability, green, carbon footprint, biodegradability. We're talking about, and we will talk about these things many times. Nothing is getting decided here today. We don't have enough information or expertise, but I'm putting out a hypothesis or two. You can rewatch the video if you've joined in late. But we're going to come back to this just like we keep coming back to why do boards warp? And when we ask these questions, we run into cool concepts. One of the concepts I've thrown out today is what is sustainable and green? How disappointing would it be to discover that it is the kind of the old way of doing it is not that far off the mark? I'll tell you one thing I really don't like. Here's a strong opinion. I don't like when wood is harvested in Canada, shipped to China, cut and made into skateboards, and then shipped all the way back to America, and then shipped from where it lands in America, usually in San Francisco, shipped all the way to New York and Maine across the country. I do not like that. That is a production and fulfillment model that is so off the mark that I almost think that there ought to be some sort of like a, hey, XYZ distributor, if you can't get the boards that we buy from your brands made where we live, we don't want them. Like example, say there's a distributor and they're in Sacramento, California, and they buy their boards with Canadian, China, San Francisco shipped out model. You say to them, hey, I'm in North Carolina. I have a board maker in North Carolina. Why don't you guys open up an account with the board maker in North Carolina, the board maker in Pennsylvania, the board maker in Virginia, the board maker here. So they have 500 made here and 700 made there and 1,000 made here and there, and they're doing more like this. I mean, that's a more green, that's a change toward ecologically conscious. It's expensive. Yeah, fine. It's expensive. So what? Pass the cost on to the customer, hype it up, and market it. There's a gimmick that I think would have some integrity. When is integrity going to be a gimmick? There's a lot of pretend integrity out there, pretegrity, right? But why not actually show up? These guys say they've got 2 layers of bamboo in their thing and that makes it green. Well, it's all, shipped on raw diesel fuel across the ocean. I mean, you're driving me nuts. All right. So this has been a good little chat. Kind of got a little ranty. I'm happy with it. It's been great to have you guys with me. Thanks for joining today. But had a good time yesterday talking about Bam Margera. The word from my friends in the UK is that my piece on Bam Margera yesterday was good. I'd love it if you guys would check it out on YouTube. Drop a comment on there, whether you think it was good or not good. thanks for joining me today here. It's Saturday, so Saturday, it's frosty outside, but we'll see if we can, hit some skating in the backyard today. I'd like that. And we'll see what I'm going to get into down here. I want to cut kind of a, cut kind of a normal board, an 8.5 or something like that for someone. I got a hankering. I wonder if I'll do that soon. But I'll be on here again. Oh, I'm sad to see. My friend Brandon Stevens says to me that Bam is getting wacky again. He's a mess again. His posts are getting wackier. Well, I'm sad that the social pressures on famous people are so intense. This is just a lay of the land thing. And that's one of the reasons these are my salad days too, is I'm not that famous. I know that if I do this YouTube thing, that we're gonna wind up with, probably if the channel grows and I get what I want, I'll be in the middle of being a famous person too. And I think the reasons that works. Oh, it's sad to see. I see we've got comments scaling up about Bam, him getting wackier, taking meds. Who knows when people have life problems. I'll tell you, I urge all of us to be gracious in the way we handle these poor famous people. They're not dumber than us. We just know how dumb they are. And people are dumb. We've been likened to sheep, and it is not inaccurate. And yet we do this thing, especially in American culture. We put folks up on this platform, this pedestal, and why? I mean, really, why? Let's talk about Bam for a second. Why? Because he was on purpose dumb. And now that he's older, he's not allowed to be dumb anymore because it was killing him, because it was bad in the beginning. And we were bad. We were bad to make people like that famous. It's on us too, Maybe you do know, maybe you don't. I'm not certain that I'm helping you discover it, but I'm here, and I'll be back at you later today. And thanks for joining me down here in the workshop. It's not too early in the morning, but I'm just starting out the day, and I hope you guys are doing okay. Thanks. You get to know me so the shine will come off it. You'll like me probably pretty well, but you'll see. Yeah, okay, last comment. I'm rooting for the guy. Let's root for each other. Let's root for the poor celebrities who chose that life path, or their parents chose it for them, or who knows what's going on. I don't. Drill in a glue bucket in the background. I'll explain that later. That is a drill in a glue bucket.